Hello, this is the Moviedio channel. Today I'm going to describe the Call Up, an action, sci-fi, and thriller film. There will be spoilers ahead. Keep an eye out and be cautious. Carl Anderson is an accomplished gamer who lives alone in his studio apartment. He is awakened by an alarm clock, which reminds him of an important event at which he, along with other elite gamers, will be recruited. He walks excitedly through the crowded streets and into a massive structure. When Carl and Adam arrive, the other players, Shelley, Marco, Andre, Edward, Zahid, and Taylor, are waiting for the appointment to begin. They're all looking around, perplexed by the recruitment. A voice over the intercom invites them to beta testing, and they must all sign in on the tablets given before the meeting can begin. They are each given their own locker in which to store their belongings and technological equipment. After completing the sign-in process, individuals are asked to put on motion capture suits in order to participate. Shelley has a brief conversation with Carl as they change into their uniforms. She finds burn marks on him, but they don't have time to discuss it because the game is about to start. They all enter a room where they are scanned by a machine while stating their gamer names. After that, they are given highly superior gaming outfits that simulate modern warfare as closely as possible. A helmet is included with the suit and secures itself in the wearer's neck, chin, and jaw, preventing them from removing it. Meanwhile, Zahid, the lone Muslim player in the game, ironically chose his gamer name in the hopes of remaining unknown, and he refuses to wear the terrorist-themed gear. Despite his pleas to be let out, he attempts to walk away, but the doors stay locked. Shelley persuades him to play the game, claiming that everyone understands that the name was meant to be satirical. Zahid relaxes and puts on his suit, aided by her comments. When everyone is ready, the room where they are stationed is replaced by a computer simulation of a post-apocalyptic scenario. As a result of this, they all become dizzy in their new gear. Carl tries to take in his surroundings, opens his visor, and sees the office as it is, implying that everything is just projected, before closing it again. When they gaze out the window, they see a war-torn metropolis in front of them. While the other players love the suits and office's high-tech amenities, Zahid remains apprehensive about the recruitment process, advising Carl that joining is a major mistake. Shelley sees that her tattoo has vanished during a separate chat and considers it unlikely. A dummy sergeant appears out of nowhere, grabbing their attention and ordering them to line up. As if he were a real person, the sergeant acts violently toward them. Shelley tries to touch him to see whether he's a simulation, and he is. The sergeant leads them to a room where they receive their weapons and put them through their paces. Andre, a former soldier, describes the weapon as very realistic. After the trials, the sergeant informs that if a bullet hits them once, it will cost them their armor. He then shows what would happen to Zahid. The sergeant shoots him, and the armor vanishes as expected. Following the demonstration, he tells them that they are only granted one armor for the duration of the game and distributes tubes to use if they are hit. For the first round, the sergeant explains that the building has been invaded by a gang of highly trained terrorists. Their job is to clear the road to the bottom of the structure, beginning on the 25th floor. He goes on to say that the gamer with the highest score is the winner. The voice counts down to the final seconds after the briefing before the call-up begins. Because of his battle experience, Andre leads the crew while Marco, Edward, and Adam closely follow him, and the rest follow. An opponent arrives out of nowhere and begins shooting the players. Fortunately, they are able to take cover as Andre takes him out, allowing them to proceed to the next round. The gang comes upon an obstacle on their way down to the lower floor, a live wire with a high voltage. They make it to the 24th floor safely and gather more advanced weapons. Only 4 are available, so Andre, Marco, Edward, and Adam each take one and learn how to use it properly from Andre. More shootings follow Marco's first kill, and they try to make their way through a doorway. Adam notices an enemy in a room and tries to shoot him several times, but his aim is poor, and all of the bullets miss him. When the enemy rises to shoot Adam, Andre protects him, losing his armor in the process. Taylor becomes increasingly nervous, revealing that she is merely filling in for a buddy and is not a gamer. Shelley consoles her by telling her that it is only a game and that she will protect her until the game is over. She takes aim at one of the monsters patrolling the room, but she holds off on firing. The opponent, on the other hand, discovers her and quietly approaches their hiding place. Carl, fortunately, gets notified, forcing him to make his first kill. Unbeknownst to him, another opponent is waiting for reinforcements and shoots Carl twice, injuring him. When Carl gets injured and says the suit's feedback caused him actual agony, Shelley comes to his rescue and is concerned. Shelley takes off her visor, and seeing that Carl is unharmed, she takes off his as well. He is still in excruciating pain and claims that something is severely wrong with him. Andre enters the room and injects the tube that had been provided to them earlier to treat Carl's discomfort. The wound fades, but Carl stays sick. He insists that it is not a game, so the gang congregates to try to find out what is going on. Carl informs them all that the suit is the source of their discomfort and that they must remove it as soon as possible. The suits are locked and unremovable, no matter how hard they try. Because of his excellent skills and military history, Marco and Zahid accuse Andre of knowing about the experiment, and he walks out of the group. The adversaries respawn and reappear in a different room. One of them approaches Andre, who appears to be oblivious to their presence. He hears a weapon behind him and lowers his helmet, only to be shot twice by an adversary. He had nothing to inject himself with because he gave the tube to Carl, causing him excruciating pain. When the rest of them hear the gunshots and put on the visor again, Edward is shot, leading the others to flee. Taylor rushes to the stairwell but is stopped by the live wire. Terrified, she pleads for the game to end. Adam throws a grenade at the enemy, causing a loud explosion, while Andre drags himself out of the room. The voice then announces the conclusion of the second round, awarding Adam the highest score. Meanwhile, Andre's helmet beeps a warning before electrocuting him. When the gang discovers his body, they discover that their helmets have been programmed to deliver a lethal jolt if their character dies. Shelley tries unsuccessfully to resuscitate Andre, but it is too late. Zahid begs Carl to remove and destroy his helmet in order to get the suit off, which he is unable to accomplish. Before they can remove the helmet, the sergeant enters the room and beats Zahid, warning them all not to tamper with it again. They have no choice but to play the game and progress to the next level. They safely make it to the 19th floor, where the sergeant is waiting for them. He informs them that there is a gas leak at the current level, limiting them to just utilizing knives. Taylor shouts out in fear as she looks out the window, but Shelley assures her to stay behind her and she'll get her out of the building in no time. The game continues on the 17th floor as the group gains more shooting experience. However, Adam is shot by an opponent, who throws him across the room and injures him severely. Shelley's inclination as a nurse is to save him, so Carl keeps an eye out for her but is shot in the process. She is unsure who to give the tube to after seeing her two comrades injured, but luckily, Marco injects his on Carl and Shelley's on Adam. They complete the level once more, with Marco receiving the highest score. Following that, Zahid looks out over the bustling city, anxious to be outside. Using a copying machine, he and Carl attempt to break a slightly cracked glass. Unfortunately, the sergeant shows them before they finish the work, and he brutally beats Zahid and kicks him down the stairs, breaking his leg. The sergeant warns them that the next infraction would result in their death. As the following level begins, Zahid knows that his teammates will not be able to carry him all the way to the finish of the game, so he remains behind while the others continue. Shelley is afraid to abandon him, but she tells him that they will return for him. On the 11th floor, the party discovers a weapon hidden in a box. Edward puts his hands on it first, but Marco rips it away from him. It's evident who has the authority to lead at this point. Shortly later, an opponent shoots Marco in the lower body, causing a disturbance among the group. They all take shelter, but Taylor is separated from the rest of the gang as she seeks refuge in a bathroom. With a knife as her only weapon, the situation quickly becomes untenable, and she finds herself crying in a cubicle. Shelley notices that Taylor has vanished from view once Marco's strength has been restored, and she screams out for her, but she receives no response. Taylor is heard whimpering in the bathroom as an assailant enters. She is forced to defend herself, and as a result, she kills an adversary on her own and gains confidence. The squad takes a break after that level to conserve energy for the following one. The team finds they were chosen not because they are excellent gamers, but because they all have one thing in common. They are all loners after discussing about their lives and what they do. There's a slim likelihood that anyone will look for them after they've left, sparing the corporation from any legal issues. They proceed to the next level, more motivated to beat the corporation. Back on the higher floor, an unidentified assailant approaches Zahid as he lies on the floor and fatally shoots him. The party notices the sergeant's silhouette beating up someone on the 9th floor. He shows a captured opponent and orders the players to torture him in exchange for information on a bomb linked to the building's foundations. If it bursts, the building will fall, resulting in the team's death. The code for disarming it is only known by the hostage, and they must retrieve it from him by any means necessary. As they are in a race against time, Edward volunteers and continues to abuse him. The captive, after numerous jolts of electricity, can no longer take it and gives the password Pushkin. When Adam types the word Pushkin into the computer terminal, the lights go out. An explosive device in the basement gets activated instead of being put to safety, and it begins a 30-minute countdown before detonating. They are mocked by the hostage for being duped into believing that the keyword would transport them to safety. Taylor kills him in a fit of rage, which is quite unusual for her. Marco becomes furious and hostile towards Adam, whom he accuses of putting them in danger. When Shelley tries to stop him, he punches her in the face. The sergeant screams out for them as he holds a door open, and they all rush to an elevator on a lower floor, unsure of what awaits them. As everyone goes, Marco grabs the door, but it closes abruptly when Adam's time comes around. Adam begins to worry for his life as his hatred for him intensifies. Shelley, Carl, Edward, and Taylor continue clearing a higher level while they both descend to the 3rd floor. They are feeling more compelled to travel to the lowest floor now that the bomb has been reduced to 24 minutes. Meanwhile, Marco and Adam are still on their own until they hear enemy noises from a different chamber. As the enemy advance, Marco uses Adam as bait, allowing Adam to die when he is fatally shot. It causes Adam to become panicked before the helmet electrocutes him. Despite being rescued, he breaks down in tears as a result of his remorse. As they run out of bullets on the higher floor, the party is still ambushed by adversaries. Taylor decides to obtain medical supplies on her own while the enemy are busy shooting. She flees the scene and enters a room with a medical tube. Marco orders her to hand over the tube as she returns, but she resists. He shoots her and walks out of the room, saying she reminds him of his ex-wife. After discovering Atlas written in Taylor's blood, Carl shouts out for her and sees Marco leave a room. He immediately suspects Marco being behind her death. Carl, enraged, confronts Marco and engages in a battle with him, damaging his helmet and causing the sergeant to enter and kill Marco. Carl, Shelley, and Edward make their way to the basement floor when the voice informs that they have reached the final level, with only the three of them surviving. They reload their guns before ambushing 4 opponents. The shootout lasts several minutes, giving them plenty of time to defuse the device. A bipod-mounted machine gun shoots both Carl and Shelley in the final 3 minutes, rendering them useless. Carl gives up his life to save Shelley by using the last tube on her. She holds his hand as he breathes his last breath. During this time, Edward uses a rocket launcher to kill the machine gunner and sprints to the bomb, shutting it down just before it explodes. The sergeant walks in and congratulates both of them on being the last 2 survivors of the game. Shelley notices Edward reciting the victory speech and realizes he knows it off by memory, implying that he is an insider. She is still not relieved that she is alive and has survived the game's horrors. When security officers enter the room and deliver Edward refreshments as though they were serving him, the visuals lift, restoring normalcy to the office. Shelley is tranquilized by the guards and is left asleep in the basement. She then wakes up sooner than planned to discover the others being body-bagged, and Edward informs her that she has won the game before handing her a huge bag stuffed with cash. Despite her fear for her life, she threatens to expose Edward's role in the heinous killings, but he insists no one will believe her. As one of the guards approaches her again, she injects the tranquilizer into him and takes his pistol, killing the other guards in a shootout. The sounds of bullets frighten Edward, who is waiting for his guards to arrive unscathed. Shelley, on the other hand, emerges from the shadows and points the rifle directly at him, pleading for compassion. Feeling betrayed, she is adamant that the game must not be repeated, shoots him, and walks away peacefully with the money. Thanks for taking the time to watch. To watch more of these movie recaps, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hello.